what we're going to talk about today is setting yourself up for success in 2024, focusing on habits. And the reason I talk about habits is a couple of reasons, but my favorite is the book by, I've forgotten his name now, Atomic Habits by, no, it's not going to come to me. Someone else can write it in the comments. But he is absolutely amazing, and he has a really fantastic blog on minimalism that I've been following for years, and talks about the circle of control versus the circle of influence. But he's written Atomic Habits, and it's really amazing, and it talks about this concept of the nudge concept, that if we just take small steps every single day or every moment that we have capacity to move towards those goals, we're more likely to reach those goals than if we, just force ourselves, if you like. And so I'm going to go through a few steps today. Before we get into the actual process of thinking about our habits, setting our goals for 2024 and beyond, I'm going to stop and pause for applause in a moment, but I'm just setting up the power of using habits. And Atomic Habits is the book that I made reference to. And James Clear, thanks, Kate. I knew you'd know that. And so I've been working with the concept of habits for probably about 1.5 years now, and it just really helps take off some of that pressure of I set these goals, I've got really high expectations. So any of the overachievers that are listening in today, you'll know how that feels. When I don't achieve them, I tend to really quickly default to thinking about all the things that I didn't do to get towards my goals. Whereas if we focus on the habits, we set ourselves up for a much healthier way of achieving our goals. And you can liken that to quitting smoking or going to the gym and things like that. And one of the pieces that resonated most out of his book for me was that concept of the identity. So instead of thinking of yourself as becoming a non-smoker or wanting to stop smoking, they're all linked back to smoking. Whereas if you reframe that as a healthy person, that is got a new lease of life and is used full expanse of your lungs and your capacity, you are going to be doing different things in that second example compared to the first one, because in the first one, you're tied to that identity of being a smoker and needing to move away from that. The other identity of being a healthy person, making healthy choices, you are more likely to take action and do things and have habits that are related to healthy habits and practices that hopefully will replace the desire to smoke. Now, I say that having never been a smoker, but my father smoked all his life, and he's managed to quit recently. And so I don't say that it's easy. I'm just saying that refocusing on identity is really powerful, and the power of habits. So we're going to get into it, and hopefully you've all got a piece of paper in front of you. And if you don't, maybe you can go and grab one quickly, or you can do it on the computer. And so we're going to use both sides. So preferably if you have a piece that's double-sided clear, or else 2 pieces of paper. And to start with, we're just going to do on a line down the middle, and on the left-hand side, you're going to do hashtag pause for applause. And then we'll get to the habits bit in a minute. So hashtag pause for applause. This came about really early on in my business journey when I was working with a mentor. And she talked about this concept of pause for applause. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And so what she said is that we very rarely do we stop and actually take stock of how far we've come. A lot of people that are goal-orientated, future-focused, we're always looking out here, and we're not always looking back here about and celebrating where we've come from. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes right now, and then I'm going to do a little stock take to make sure that I've got people on the line and everything like that. And in those 2 minutes, I want you to pause for applause, take a deep breath, and just have a think about 2023, not Christmas, not the rush before Christmas, but the whole of 2023, and think about, what are you most proud of? And I hope that when you do that, that you won't just think of the achievements in terms of the tick boxes or the tasks. It's great to put them down there if you want to do that, But hopefully you can also think about things that really lit you up, that made you feel energized, that made you want to do more, made you want to be more of the person that you are. So we're tapping more into the feeling sensation and maybe the habits that you might have had going on, and not just the milestones. So I'm going to start the 2 minutes now. Grab your piece of paper, hashtag pause for applause, and just have a little think about what is it in 2023 that you are most proud of. Ideally, you'd write 2 or 3 things. If you would like to, you can go to town and you can write 10 or 15. Just try not to overthink it. And I find if you are getting a bit stuck in a loop, just to start writing anything. It's a process called free writing that I've done many times before, and so it doesn't have to look pretty, doesn't have to make sense. It's just starting to get those ideas out on the page, but we're really trying to tap into here and into our gut in what really made us proud in 2023, so that we can leapfrog off that foundation in 2024. So I didn't give you very long, and I do really encourage you to have a little think about this tonight as well, and just come back to that pause for applause. But in going through your list, and I did it now just as super rough off the top of my head, a number of things, go back through your list, and you can see there that I deliberately don't make it list-like, because I'm trying to unlearn some of the habits that I learned during my engineering and all my years at school, to let my ideas flow and get things out instead of making them look legible. And I want you to reread them and then just have a think about the feelings that those bring to you. So how does that make you feel? Is it proud? Hopefully it's proud, because we're doing pause for applause. We're not looking for gaps or lack or any things that you didn't do. Hopefully it makes you proud. Maybe it makes you feel content. Maybe it makes you feel fulfilled, energetic, happy, fun, light. Maybe you could, I got some nods, maybe you could type some words of the feelings in either wherever you're on, if you're on Zoom or if you're on the live that I finally got going on LinkedIn, and just let me know what were the feelings and the words that came up when you reflect on the things that you achieved in 2023. Proud, happy, and energized. Love it. Kate, if you're still on the line, how did you go in your pause for applause? Oh, Kate's very systems orientated, so I'm sure that she was trying to stay present and think about the pause for applause and not all of the things that she had next on her list to do. And so leveraging off those feelings, being proud, happy, energized, fulfilled, content. If you were to pull just a couple of them over to the right-hand side, habits for success, and put them over here near the somewhere, just like as an area for feelings, and you were to write some of those down, proud and excited, awesome. Thanks, Kate. What habits do you need to continue doing, start doing, or reframing a stop doing? So maybe you need to stop a habit, but instead of writing down that habit, I want you to reframe it and write it down in a more positive one that will lead towards those feelings that you felt based on your achievements in 2023. What kind of habits do we need? And again, this doesn't need to be a big list. It's just a couple of ideas. We're just, a lot of it for a lot of us, going back to the yoga mat or going back to the gym, and some of these muscles might not have been used for a little while, and so they may not come naturally. Elena, great to see you. Proud seems not enough for the feeling it created. I love that. And yes, your group and your events for Courageous Women is so powerful, and that work is truly purpose-led. And so I understand when you say that being proud just doesn't have the depth to it, but you know the feeling. And so hold on to that feeling and then start with the habits over on the right-hand side and start to think about what are the habits that I continue doing in 2024 that I was doing last year or previously that I might have dropped the ball on. What do I need to start doing? And how do I reframe something that I need to stop doing as a habit into a positive habit? And again, like I said, if you come up with one, that's great. We're going to flip over the page and get into a bit more of the logical brain. And then I'm going to pull you back to the habits and the feeling and the emotion side of it, so that we really have some weight behind that and we can leverage that nudge concept and have the motivation to take those small steps every day instead of forcing ourselves with a carrot or a stick to do things purely to achieve goals. Okay, now we're going to flip over the page, and this one is a little bit more complex, so I'll hold it up on the screen for a little bit longer, but again, you're going to split it in two, and on the left-hand side, we're going to do some big, hairy, audacious goals, and then on the right side, we'll do the 90-day action plan. So just focus on the left-hand side for now. So if I put that there, is that clear enough? At the top, I've got 2024, 2025, 2026, and then down the side, so this side here, if I go there, you'll hopefully be less distracting. Just put some priority areas in your life. And I always find this fascinating when I do this because I've been doing this process for a number of years and then I have a bit of a period off and then I come back to it. But I quite find it interesting what things I default to writing down the side here. And home and family and things like that have never really been top of my list. They've always been, it's career and work. It's just kind of like what I'm wired for. And so I was really quite chuffed, and that should be over in my habits for success on the other page, that home is up the top there. And I've really tried, I've worked a lot on my health and well-being over the years. And so I have a mantra, nothing's more important than my health and well-being. And I think the next one coming is that happy home, happy life. Not happy wife, happy life, but something about, home is where the heart is and happy home. And I know if my foundation's good at home, I have the strength then to go out and achieve all the things that I want to do instead of reaching and achieving and doing big things, but feeling shaky on the foundation. So that's just a personal side note. And so when you've got the ones written down the side here, you're going to just sort of like bingo, anywhere that it kind of jumps out. And for me, logical brain, I kind of put in my age or my kid's age, or say the oldest if it's relevant. He's going to high school, so might be when he finishes high school or things like that, however far out I'm planning. Some of those sort of milestones in there so that you can mentally and a bit emotionally connect with what that time frame actually looks like, because sometimes it's really hard to plan for the future. I mean, I think it's Bill Gates talks about that we overestimate what we can achieve in 2 years and underestimate what we can achieve in 10 years. And so that concept of time it's not linear, and yet it's also not familiar to us when we think far out in the future. So this is really just to block out some high level timestamps across different areas of your life. And even looking at that, I feel like my whole health and well-being practice is completely missing off there. So if it is missing, cross one out and rewrite it, or do another page somewhere else. And then start to write down, what would I love to achieve in those different areas? And I say BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, because with the clients that I work with, for me personally, so many people underestimate what they are capable of. It comes back to that quote, you overestimate 2 years, underestimate 10 years. A big, hairy, audacious goal is something that is way out there as a guiding star. We might never achieve it, but by having it there, it motivates us and drives us to do better and be better. And so I encourage you to make it really big. Mary Oliver has a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. So Mary Oliver has this great quote called that says, leave some room in your heart for the unimaginable. And I think so often particularly, with the traditional schooling system and things like that, we're taught that 1 + 1 = 2. We're taught that here's a square and you need to fit these blocks in this arrangement. It's quite linear, it's quite logical, and that's how we get to the things that we get to. But when we truly connect and we disconnect from what others want and expect from us, and we reconnect with what really lights us up, and we let go of any of those perceptions or judgments, we can be free to have really wild and exciting desires. And so this is probably a good moment while you're having a little look at your sheet and filling in the bingo cards of what you might want at different points in different years, is Esther Hicks's concept of manifesting. And she talks about sort of 3 steps, but there's sort of a 4th as well. And the first is that we are able to identify contrast. So what around us is really niggly, frustrating us? What do we not want? So that we get really clear and we get clarity on what we do want. And then when we have that clarity, step 2 is launching those rockets of desire. And so coming back to the big, hairy, audacious goals, if we don't sit with ourselves and we don't have the clarity to launch those rockets of desire, we don't start to become more aware and focused on those different activities, the habits that we need to be doing that will get us closer to those goals. And then the 3rd step, which is really powerful, that I talked about a little bit in a live at the end of the year, was coming back into alignment to receive those goals. And it's essentially reducing the resistance. So removing the resistance to any goals that we might have in our lives. And so whether that's on a personal note or in a team setting, people are not typically used to change. And so we are comfortable with what is happening, even if it's not healthy, even if it's not productive. What we know is easier to maintain the status quo. It's harder for us to change. And so we need that motivator, we need that reason, we need that intrinsic thing. If you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and our bottom layers are met with our safety and security and our food and our belonging in a community, we need a purpose and that self-actualization to drive us further forward. And so if we think back to that manifesting, 1, what's the contrast? What's the thing I'm not happy with? 2, have I launched that rocket of desire? And 3, am I removing any resistance to that and doing things that are in alignment, so habits. And a lot of that is getting out of your head and not doing the logical things you need to do, but doing the things that you as a human, mind, body, and soul needs, so that you have the energy to do the physical things. That's going to get you closer to your goals. And back to the launching the rockets of desire, another quote that I love by Tom O'Toole, who owns and runs Beechworth Bakery. I'm not even sure if he's still there, but he has a great book called Breadwinner. And I don't think these are his words specifically, because I feel like they're a little bit more, how should we say, crass. But essentially he says, if your goals are not written down on paper, they don't exist. And so that's why I really like this one here of the big, hairy, audacious goals, and just how high level it is, because it helps you push out of what you know now into the realms of the unimaginable, if we talk about Mary Oliver's quote. So that's getting you trying to think like big, trying to think outside of what's happening now and drive you for the future. And then we come back to the 90-day action plan. But right before we do that, I want you to have a think in the big, hairy, audacious goals. Now turning back to the habits, are some of those habits there that you wrote before, are they helping you get towards those big, hairy, audacious goals? Do we need to add some more to that list? And when I say habits, they're the really micro things. So they are waking up in the morning and not looking at my phone as soon as I wake up, or thinking about my to-do list and all the things I've got to do before I take a moment to be grateful for what I have and excited for my future, or something like that. Drinking 6, ideally, glasses of water every day is a habit. And that prioritizes my health and well-being, sets me up for a clear mind so that I can get after my goals. Okay, last step. And then hopefully I'll still be able to round out with a few minutes to go for questions. Just 2 seconds. Okay, the 90-day action plan. This one could easily default to being an endless to-do list. And while we're on the subject of to-do lists, I'm just going to cram this full of all the information. I often have a not going to do list, and I've talked about that a lot in the masterclasses over the years that I've run. What I've reframed it to recently is not going to do yet, ... because I love being creative and I love doing lots of different things, and it feels really, feels like I'm a young child and someone's telling me off when I say to myself, not going to do. And so not going to do yet leaves a little spark of hope and opportunity that I can do all of these things and think that I can actually achieve all of these things. So you could also run a little not going to do yet or list somewhere on your page. But in the 90-day action plan, rather than thinking of things you need to do, try and think about milestones. So we've got the big, hairy, audacious goals over the next 3 years. And if you were to pick one of those goals and move over to the 90-day action plan with a month 1, month 2, month 3, it's up to you how you want to do it. I kind of go down the page, but I also understand that moving across the page might make more sense for some people because then you're moving in time. But whatever works for you. And picking one of those big, hairy, audacious goals, what's a milestone? What's one thing that you can check in on at, say, what are we, middle of January? Just go the end of February, give yourself a little bit of a break at the start of the year. So giving yourself 6 weeks for the first month. So say end of Feb, what's a milestone that I can look at, that I can tick or cross, or, give myself a love heart, or, give myself an even bigger love heart if I didn't achieve it yet, because I accept myself, and trust in the process that I didn't achieve it for whatever reason there is. And so on down to end of March, end of April. And now we're getting into, a bit more pragmatic, a bit more of the logic brain, but we need to have milestones, and we need to have that yin and the yang. So yin being your habits and, the nurture and the self-care, and the yang being the taking action and the progress. We need to have those milestones to measure us against and see how we're going. And so that was what I was going to share today. The pause for applause, because it is absolutely super important that you take time to pause for applause. And it's not something that we do if you think of performance reviews in the corporate world, we're always talking about areas for improvement. We're always talking about what comes next. We don't often stop and celebrate our achievements and how they make us feel. And so I want you to tap into that feeling a bit more and unpick the feelings. And, as Alina mentioned, proud didn't do it justice to how she felt. So what are some words that she could play with over the next, days or weeks that do bring more of that context and description to the feeling that she felt? And then what are the habits that we need to do to get there? Then we did the big, hairy, audacious goals over 3 years in different areas of our life. And it truly is amazing if you come back and do this every 6 months, 12 months, couple of years, to write down, have my goals change? Might write a little note of a new goal that comes up, or you might go, yeah, wow, what was I thinking? That's not an alignment, that came from somewhere else, and I was motivated by other reasons. And then we come down to, like I said, the yang and the more logical and the milestones to measure against whether we are on track to achieve our big, hairy, audacious goals. And if we're not, do we need to revisit our habits and think about whether they are the healthiest and the most productive habits that are going to help us build that identity for what we want to be and what we want to do in the world. So that was all I was going to share today. Any other questions, comments, do post them in the chat box there. I didn't get into vision boarding today, but I do absolutely love that process. I wasn't sure how it would work on a LinkedIn Live, but if there is a request, please do send me an email. It's on the, it should be, yeah, it's really small on the LinkedIn Live, I can see, but kylah.morrison@gmail.com. Or just send me a DM on LinkedIn if you do want to do an interactive and a live vision boarding process. I do that in the masterclass program, and I have an 8-week program coming up in February. So that will kick off, what is it? The 7th of February will be the onboarding, so emails and self-assessments. There's a DISC profiling assessment that you'll do. And then the 21st and the 22nd of February is the 2-day intensive. So that's in person, 8:30 to 4:30, 2 days in a row in Perth CBD. I'm just finalising the location now, and I'm really excited about who I'll be partnering with for that. And you'll be joining, a number of other women at similar stages in their career, looking to take their leadership to the next level in a really safe and supportive environment. And so the idea being that with the 2 weeks lead in, the 2-day intensive, and then a 6-week implementation, which includes a one-on-one coaching call and check-ins for you to implement your learning. Because if we don't turn our learning into action, what's the point in investing that time and energy in the 2 days and in all of the activities? And then we bookend it with a webinar at the end. You actually build a really powerful cohort with the women that you do the program with. And then you also have access to the alumni. So the program has been delivered 23 times now, 23 cohorts, and we've supported 295 leaders. So it's one of my things that I'm most proud of and that I really look forward to. And those of you on the call today, if you would like to access the program, you can send me a DM. There is if I'm in the right area, VIP Habits will get you 20% off. So joining me today and talking about our goal setting and habits for success. VIP Habits, if I can type that fast enough. I was thinking I would do it on, no, I can't do it. I might have to find it on LinkedIn. But yeah, VIP Habits will get you 20% off. And that's for 3 people. So the 3 of you listening, if you want to join me on the 21st and 22nd, you can jump on that. Anyone else listening back to the recording, do give it a shot because there may still be seats available, and spread the word. Any other questions from anyone? Comments, questions? Oh, here I can find it. I'll put the Eventbrite link in as well. That work? I hope you have all had a really beautiful start to your 2024. I hope that today's session, I did really want to keep it to half hour so that it was just a lunch and learn style and didn't eat up too much of your day. I do really hope that gives you a different perspective on goal setting and helps you be a little bit kinder to you, and also helps you engage that right brain, so that creative, that more feminine energy to connect in with your why and your purpose, as well as the logical side, so that you can get after your goals and really set yourselves up for success. That's all from me. I am on LinkedIn, so send me a DM, or as I said, my email is on the live there, kylah.morrison@gmail.com, and I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful afternoon.